What is up, CSGs? Your Houston Rockets just defeated the big bad bullies of the West, well, at least for us. The Minnesota Timberwolves, 117-111 in overtime. A crazy game. The Rockets were up as high as 21 points. The bench came in, crashed out, and then it came down to one of those grinders that we have been losing all season. And finally, we were able to execute down the stretch of a game, a close game, grind it out on the road against a team that did not want to lose. These guys are coming off of 4 straight losses. Wonderful game, man. This to me is the closest thing that the Rockets are going to see to the playoffs. And there's several things that I want to talk about from this game that we're going to get into. But overall, I mean, just overall, just a great game. I mean, top players, Alperen Sengun with his defense, and then Thompson hitting clutch threes, playing defense. Fred VanVleet, I put a tweet out. Fred played like prime Chris Paul, and he does this. I don't know what's up with Fred. For 46 minutes, Fred VanVleet is the most organized, poised team captain that you want. In the last 2 minutes, he goes from Chris Paul to Kevin Porter Jr. like clockwork. I don't understand it. I don't know what light switch goes off in his mind, but he just crashes out in the last 2 minutes of a game. Just started pulling up crazy from 3. Didn't like that, but overall, I think he had a great game. Jabari Smith continues his trend of playing really good ball. Tari Eason, not a great game. Reed, et cetera. But let me start off big picture. Firstly, contextualize this win for the Rockets. The Timberwolves have been our big brother for the past few years, especially through this rebuild. We know we've owned them for the majority of the Harden era, where we just dominated them in the regular season and in the playoffs. You get to the drafting of Anthony Edwards, and he has just been destroying us, pretty much every game. There was a play where Jaylen Green got a steal in this game where I put a tweet out that said Jaylen should have yelled cookies. The reason I said that is because if you remember, one of the lowest points of our rebuild, our tanking, was, I think it was in January. I think we were at home, and it was a game where the Wolves came in and just made us look just weak, destroyed us. And the key play was a play where Anthony Edwards stripped Jaylen and yelled cookies. You guys remember that? Well, we got those back. We took our cookies back, and we went there and we gave them the L. You feel me? So that was just satisfying to see us beat them at their own game, beat them on defense, held that team to 111 points in overtime. I think at the end of regulation, I forgot what the score was. It might have been like 105 or something like that. I mean, just overall a great game. So I'm going to go through, and sorry I'm not as organized as I usually am because it's right after the game. So I don't have my notes and all that. I'm just kind of shooting from the cuff here. I'm going to start off with some of the players and how they played. Alperen Sengun, I mean, what can you say about him? I would say this, and Ryan Hollison putting this out, this is Alp's best defensive game of his life. And the leap that I have seen from this kid from this year on defense is amazing. He is one of the best back-end defenders in the league right now because he is leading, we're the number 2 defense. And you can see the difference when he's not on the court, not both only on offense, but on defense for our team. And I had said that he is, what is the term? He is the anchor of a top 3 defense. Can you believe that? The dude that Dame Lillard dropped 70 points on, even though he didn't drop 70 points all by himself, he's probably like 18. But that guy, that Steven Silas, never really put in position to be successful. I've talked about this ad nauseum, pick and roll defense, blah, blah, blah. Anchor of one of the best defenses in the NBA. And it's not a gimmick. It's not whatever people say. It's not smoke and mirrors. It is just IQ, foot speed, lateral movement, anticipation, timing, all the stuff that makes any great defender a great defender. Because you can be 7'5" and long arms and be trash on defense. Because at the end of the day, you need that IQ. That's what made Draymond. And the anchor of a defense, it doesn't mean you're the best defender, but the anchor is such an important role on defense because you are on the back end seeing everything. You're the point guard. You're the middle linebacker of that defense. Y'all know I love my football analogies. When a middle linebacker is in a stance, they got to make all the calls because they see everything from behind the line of scrimmage, right? They got to see. They got to control that front seven. Usually the defensive backs do their own thing. But that middle linebacker is telling the front four, if you're running a 4-3 defense, hey, okay, now let's shift over to this gap. Strong size on the right. Lineman, slide over. Let's slide over. He's telling his backers, what gaps they're going to go, whether they're going to go on blitz or not. He's calling the plays out, the formation. He's letting them know. He's telling them what he's anticipating. All of that leads to a successful defense. And one of the most important positions on defense is that anchor, especially in basketball. You got to be able to know what you're doing. You can't play middle linebacker in football without having high IQ, or you're just going to be out there and your team's going to be lost. So I've always seen this from Alp. Like, if you have the IQ and the big body, you should be a decent defender. We've seen the Gasol brothers do it, and having Coach Udoka being his coach to me is one of the benefits, because it gets to push him to a level that he isn't going to get to by himself. And I think that alone, it speaks volumes to what Coach does. But 22 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, 39% from the field. His shooting has been up and down. It's been kind of just, it comes and goes. But he made some huge buckets tonight. And he just came in the clutch, man. When you watch that game, you felt like, okay, when he has the ball in his hands, something was going to happen. It might not be him making a shot, but something was going to happen. Maybe it's a shot for a teammate, but he was going to create something. And I love that feeling, because you guys know the feeling I'm talking about. That's that feeling you have when you have good players, right? You're not holding your breath when they have the ball in their hands. Seeing that, him play down the stretch, getting the big blocks, getting the steals and all the different defensive rotations he was making, challenging Ant on that last play that basically sent the game to overtime. Just incredible. Incredible. That extension the Rockets signed on him, perfect. That's going to end up being a steal, because I think he's one of those guys. You guys already know what my eye test tells me on that kid. But shooting-wise, not great. Not a great shooting game. 3 blocks, 3 steals. He had 10 rebounds, 3 on the offensive glass, a plus 28. Team high. Well, actually, Jabari was a team high, plus minus 30. But great game from Sengun, man. Played 41 minutes. So if he can play 41 minutes, we can cut down on some of those jock minutes. I'm going to get to that in a second. Fred VanVleet, the aforementioned Fred VanVleet, 44 minutes. I think team high in minutes. Shot 40% from the field. Let's see what he shot from 3. Felt like he hit a bunch of 6 of 12 from 3, 50% from 3. Big shots for Fred. Plus 22. Just a great game all around. Towards the end, crashed out. One thing I'm going to say about Fred VanVleet, great leader, great vet, but 2-minute situations he needs to chill out, bro. And I think this is where having players that are better than him helps. If Jaylen is not going to be the guy that's in there scoring, then Fred, I feel like, feels like the onus is on him. Luckily, Dillon has been there to carry some of the burden. Sengun is carrying some of the burden, but the Rockets are still lacking that wing scorer to take that closer role. And it's supposed to be Jaylen Green, but he was not in today. But Fred, he just has to learn to just facilitate better in those closing minutes. We don't need him to be like that aggressive, bro. Some of the pull-up shots is just nuts to me. Like early shot clock, fresh off the screen, no hesitation, in the pocket with 2 defenders. Like, bro, that's not you. Relax. Jabari Smith Jr., just a great game from him. He's been putting together really great performances. 3 or 4 from 3, some big 3-pointers. Played decent defense tonight. Has that great weak side block on Rudy Gobert. More of that, Jabari. Get over, rotate, be that presence. Proud of him. Coach Udoka let the dude close in this game because Tari was tripping a little bit. That is a huge step for Jabari Smith. Huge step for Sengun, closing against a team which they have enough bigs to give you troubles. Between Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, this is a team we usually get bullied by. But Sengun and Jabari held it down. They held it down. Amen Thompson, what can you say about this dude, man? 5 of 7 from 2. He hit a major three-pointer, 1 for 2 from three and from the corner to really put the game. That was a dagger in the game. He had 3 blocks, 4 steals. Oh my God. A -2 because he was cursed to play on the same court as Jock Landale. But Amen is making Roosh look really good. He had argued that Amen should start. I said the spacing would be funky. If he's going to hit those corner threes at least once in a blue moon, you might be able to make it work because the defense and the rebounding and transition might make up for some of the offensive productivity you might lose. Jaylen not playing a lot, man. They said he's sick. Let me see how many minutes Jaylen played 23 minutes tonight. We're going to assume he's sick. I want to get off a joke real quick, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I was going to say diagnosis broken jumper, but that's neither here or there. They're going to say he's sick, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But Amen Thompson, just a great performance tonight on the defensive end. Took on the task of guarding Anthony Edwards, who cooked pretty much everybody. But I think the way we played him, trapping him, left him on an island sometimes. He just did the best he could. The rebounding was really, really helpful for us. And his ability to just make plays, man. Just make plays for the team. Be in the right spots, be able to get tip passes, get the steals. There was a sequence where he got a steal, Tari got a steal. It's just, I mean, he just brings so much to the table. I'm really, really, really high on him as a player. There was a Euro step he hit in traffic. It was like 3 dudes around him with the smoothest kiss off the glass. That's such an improvement from the guy that we saw in his first year coming here. Just couldn't dribble, couldn't really get in the paint without losing the ball. Now he's getting into the paint and using touch. Just amazing. And I think that you sometimes forget that he is a second-year player, that this dude is not he's a second-year player. He is basically what Jaylen Green was the second year with Eric Gordon and them and all them boys here. And he's already playing these big moments. Obviously, he's a little bit older, but great game from him. Dillon Brooks is kind of been the unsung hero for this team. When it comes to really chipping in on the offensive end, Dillon has been stellar, hitting his threes, probably our best three-point shooter, hits a lot of big buckets, guards a lot of the other teams, not best players per se, but he guards the bigger wings and some of these players that are theoretical mismatches for him, but he makes it so grimy in the post. He makes it such a hard night that he kind of wears those dudes down over time. And I think him being on the court, Amen being on the court is what makes a Sengun work, because they're able to kind of tag team on that. You can clearly see the difference in our defense when it's like a Jaylen on a pick and roll, trying to guard a pick and roll, or a Reed or somebody like that that's really small or not really physical or not aggressive fighting over the screens, then when it's Dillon, when it's Amen or Tari, because they really use their length, their strength, all of that really helps in our pick and roll coverage, and it really blows up a lot of teams' initial actions and forces them into secondary stuff. But Dillon has been just balling, man. I really, I can't really, we give him a lot of crap because rightfully so. I mean, the dude got a technical on a kicked ball, which is weird, but 22 points, once again, just doing his thing, shooting well for us, 57% from twos. Let's see what he did from the three-point line, 57% from three. Just doing his thing, man. Doing his thing. Jaylen, 9 points, shot, 3 of 9 from the floor. Really was kind of all over the place. When he tried to come back in, he looked a little bit like the moment was too big for him. When Ant got that steal back from him, Coach Udoka took him out. Right move. He didn't have that look in his eyes. Pause. So, I would have done the same thing. I would have done the same thing for him. I just didn't see. He didn't match the intensity of the rest of the team and the game, the moment. That moment was big. The moment was high leverage, and he was still in chill mode. So I could see why they took him out. Jock Landale, oh, my God. Well, okay, we need to pause here. Jock Landale. We cannot survive a long season with this current situation with our centers. Steven Adams is hurt. I seen the dude walk in a couple games ago limping hard. He's hurt. And to me, that's what's lending to his lack of giving us anything aside from screening. Jock Landale is a decent backup, but he is not a second string backup. He's like a third string backup. The Rockets need a backup center. Now, some people have advocated putting Jabari at the 5. I think you can do that in stretches to kind of limit some of Londale's minutes. But I think when you start doing that, you mess up your rotation of your wings, because I think there's a wing rotation with Tari, Amen, and Jabari that kind of works. That if Jabari is really playing more 5, it's going to put a lot of minutes, because low-key, Ime is trying to patch up the missing minutes of Jaylen and sometimes Jabari when he's tripping with those guys. So you don't want to put too much on Jabari's plate until, to me, in my opinion, he can be more consistent in his regular job, which is being a power forward, right? So I think if he keeps playing like this, then you can flex him out a little bit more at the 5. But I don't want to give him more minutes just for the sake of giving him more minutes. And then when he's having a bad game, we're just suffering all the way around. So I'm not saying you can't do it, but I don't think it's a good fix. To me, they just need to make a move, even if it's marginal around the edges by the deadline. Make a move to get somebody in here that can give us just at least good rebounding, just somebody that can just touch the rim on offense and defense for the backup 5s, because we were up 20-some points. As soon as Sengun and Fred went to go sit down, crash out. They try to bring Fred back in, crash out. It got so bad, Ime frustratingly told Api to get up, come on, go back in there. Right? And that's how, the minutes, and you get the fatigue factor comes in where people's legs get dead. The shots aren't falling. So we can't have the players with the highest minutes in the league. And again, like Fred was leading the league in minutes last year, ended up getting hurt. We need to have replacements for these guys. We already know we need a point guard. We need a backup 5. So that's something that Stone needs to look at. I'm calling for that to happen. Jock Landale, no offense to him, we just need to play. Need better play from that position. Tari Eason, shooting's been off. The defense was okay. He made some good off-ball stuff. On ball, he was getting kind of cooked by Ant, but that's Ant. Cooks everybody. I just think that Tari needs to rein it back a bit. I think he's smelling himself. He's smelling himself a little bit with some of the praise that he's gotten recently, and a little bit too much dip on his chip. Right, a little bit too much dip on his chip on some of the transition stuff. Bro, pass the ball out in transition, bro. You know what I mean? Pass the ball out in transition. Be a connector piece. When you're feeling it, you're feeling it, but don't force the issue. Don't force the issue, because what you end up doing is playing out of character, and that gets you benched. So once again, growing pains for some of these young guys. He just has to learn. It's a tough role to be in, especially on a team that lacks a lot of structure on most nights. And, it's kind of up and down with the offense. What's the identity? I feel like as the season goes on, I told you guys probably about Thanksgiving. That's literally verbatim what I said. Around Thanksgiving, you'll figure out what this team is. And I think they're starting to see what we are. It's not clear yet, because you still have a lot of situations brewing between the Jaylen thing, the Tari thing. There's so much uncertainty. I think Ime is going to just keep being the pragmatist that he is, which is, he's going to play the guys that are doing well on that particular night. So that isn't really, he's not going to just give people the minutes for the sake of it. And there was an article that came out where he talked about, kind of validated what I already said on the podcast with Roosh. Jaylen is going to start. Okay, so we can take that off our minds. The reason he's going to start, I'm looking on the app Pivot Fade. If y'all don't have the app, check out the app. It's a great app. Great stats for the game. In real time, Pivot Fade. This is a free promo for them. So I already told the dude he needs to do a sponsorship for us. So I'm gonna throw him a free promo. It's called Pivot Fade. But if you look at the app on the lineups, they have a lineups feature that tells you the best and worst lineups. Obviously, the best lineup is the closing lineup. The Sengun, Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, and Dillon Brooks. Plus 11 in 19 minutes. That lineup played 19 minutes. The worst lineup was Amen, Dillon, Jaylen, Jock, and Tari. And then the starting lineup of Sengun, Fred, Jabari, Dillon, and Jaylen was a plus 8. Had 140 offensive rating and 111 defensive rating. That's a plus 29 net rating in 15 minutes. That's pretty damn good. That is pretty damn good. So that's why Ime is not going to rock the boat. We still have one of the best starting 5s in the league. I looked up a stat today that showed for teams that have played 200 or more minutes together, or 200 or more possessions, not minutes. I think it's 200 or 300 possessions. The Rockets starting lineup is number 2 in the NBA behind the Boston Celtics. And if you just look at for all lineups that have 100 minutes on cleaning the glass, which is their cutoff, 100 possessions, which is their cutoff for generating rates and benchmarks and all that, we're number 14. We were prior to this game. I don't know what it is, what it's going to be, maybe higher. But our starters are pretty damn good. They're pretty good. They're doing what they're supposed to do. To me, like I said on the pod, once again, if you haven't checked out the pod with me and Roosh, we talked about this whole conundrum with the starting thing with Jaylen or Tari. It's really a coach will tell you who they trust about how they close out a game. That's really the telltale for trust for a coach. And with what Udoka is doing right now, he's telling you that he trusts Amen. He trusts Tari some nights. And I've been seeing the trend. Jaylen is playing less and less minutes in the fourth, but he's still going to start. So he's trying to kind of straddle the fence between being politically correct and trying to have some semblance of reality where he's putting in players that are helping the team win. Now, there's some games Jaylen's going to close if he's feeling it, but that's the pragmatic approach Udoka takes. Me personally, I think, you know what I mean? I like rhythm. I like to know where I get my, where my bread is buttered or whatever the phrase is. So I would prefer them to understand, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And for me, guys got to lose it. But Udoka prefers if you're hot, you're going to go in. So I guess that's what he's going to do until we just get consistent play on a night-to-night basis from these guys. But so far, he's getting the best out of some of these players, man. But, this game was, to me, just overall, the biggest takeaway is that the Rockets are back. They are exercising demons this season. Save that Warriors game because they beat us in a close game. We still got to get that back. But you think about beating Dallas in Dallas, beating Minnesota in Minnesota, almost beating Milwaukee. That's another team that haunts us. We're just going out and really exercising these demons of the tank years. Like these teams that have just feasted on us, we're going in there and taking it from them. So that is very, very impressive for me to see. Love the direction of the team. I think we're third or second in the West. But, punched our ticket. We're going to go play some real meaningful basketball. Somebody asked me about the play-in tournament. What is my view on it? I think for our team, for a young team, for a team that is trying to understand what winning is, it's huge. It's huge. Maybe if for LeBron and, the Celtics, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it'll be nice if we go to Vegas, da-da-da. But for teams like ours, like the Orlandos, the Detroits, the Charlottes, teams that are led by young players that haven't won significant games, it's huge because it puts you just the extra change in venue. The fact that it's highlighted, the fact that it's on a national stage, it adds something to it as an athlete. The eyes are on you. Just the pageantry behind it does add it. If you're an athlete, when somebody adds a little bit of a curve or a little up the stakes a little bit. It could be a race in the middle of nowhere, bro. Somebody challenge you to a race in the middle of the street and you about to race them. And then they say, let's put 5 on it. Oh, you ready? You start stretching like you about to run the Olympics. So when players say that, well, it's just a game, they capping, bro. They capping. They know what it is. You got money on the line. You know what I mean? You got bragging rights on the line. You got eyes. People are going to see you on a big stage perform. So it means something to these guys. That's all I'm saying. So for us to get a chance to play in one of these games, win or go home, big, huge. Looking forward to it. That's going to be great. That's going to be wonderful for our young players because you get to see the cream rise to the crop like we saw tonight in Minnesota with Amen and Sengun and Jabari. That cream, when the moment is big, is it too big for you, or are you gonna be there to rise to the moment? That's really what we want to see from these guys because these are preparations for the real deal. When we get to April and May, are you gonna be able to rise to the moment? So far, so good. Our guys have been playing some really, really meaningful basketball, and I think that means a lot because it's gonna prepare them. Right? We've seen a lot of different types of defenses, offenses, a lot of different things. And all of these things are things they're soaking in. And as the time goes on, once again, like I tell you guys, patience is going to be virtue here. Patience is key. You got to let these guys get their roles. They're figuring it out. You're starting to see a clear picture, but it's not there yet. It's not there yet. Give it a couple more games. I think that tournament is going to be what solidifies what this team is going to be as far as whose roles is what the relationships are, who gets what when. You will figure it out in the moments when the bullets are flying. So that is my take on tonight. Great game. Once again, sorry it was all over the place. Just wanted to get it on wax while it was still fresh in my brain. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop. And we're going to keep dropping that fire.
DJ Candlestick. It's the Chop Not Slap Show.